bus. Na mi play wari lo displa. Ol narapla ol something sastis ino kama lohia. Planti ol something ol live lol mani bagarap. Planti ol something ol wari blo mi play no go through lo right way. Igat ol something ol man o lo stretim ol wari ta sol disla ol mani stretim ol problems blong ol outside e mi pla ol mama ino hama mas longen. So sastis ino kama gut ol seme mi suppose lo kama. Narapla something and freedom. Freedom blong mipla lo planti something. Freedom lo talk. Freedom lo walk about na about. Freedom blong holim olo lo tu blong mipla. Freedom blong mipla lo holim olo kain something mipla like holim also before mipla sabe holim.
It was a tremendous hurt in their hearts over lost loved ones, the traumatic experiences that families underwent and were left to face, the killing of innocent men, women, and children, and the fact that people are no longer listening to their cries for help and for peace that got this group of women to come together and create an awareness march at last year's Buka show. Women Weaving Bougainville Together is what this silent march is all about. For 7 years it has been the women and children who have had to suffer most and suffer quietly for fear that they would be killed if they were to speak their minds. The main emphasis of the march is on the value of life, whether it be the killing of men with guns, or women aborting their children for fear of bringing them up in a society where they will be subjected to pain and suffering. The aim is also to reach out to those who can do something and bring justice to each individual. The people want to be able to talk freely, walk freely, and hold their religion. They want to be able to reunite families and unite the people of North Solomon. But most importantly, these women want peace for the island of Bougainville.
Look lo mi pla ol mama lo here, mi pla I believe olsem lo achieving true peace lo here lo Bougainville, mi pla like him by peace he must start one time, mi pla 1-1. Start one time mi pla 1-1 behind lo all family blo mi pla yet, na behind he go out lo community, na at last them by go reach him all get all people long province. So mi pla I believe olsem by peace he must come up past time inside lo mi pla 1-1.
The Buka show brought many people from around Buka Island, and some even as far as from central Bougainville and Buin, to come together and be happy. But they cannot be totally happy, because they are still in the middle of the Bougainville crisis.
Mi pla olo Mary I got this pla big pla wari olsem. Mi pla I like looking new pla Bougainville. I got good pla social structure, good pla economic structure, good pla political structure, good pla social services, na good pla look save long environment, olsem boost na sol warab long yumi. Mi pla I like him by all of this pla structure, I help him yumi. Long come up man Mary through. I got number, na I can find him good pla sit down, blong ologeta.
There was generally a peaceful atmosphere, but the presence of a heavy armed security was visible. Early Thursday morning, on the 14th of December, in the middle of the show, we came across this story.
Mino sayo jalan ni kam ronait. Oro ami.
Wala mo buka straight. Paluwag lo buka o lista mo naraplasay.
Mino sayo jaman jira ami. Embro ating lo jasay to mino sabi.
Bisa no kam lo night asola.
O kam ronait na kirap mi ba.
Kirap mi pala low way.
Ro sipi.
Lo sipi ya. You looking pes longol.
Milukim.
You looking pes longol. Hama sol kita.
Mas tri braman da sol milukim mo.
Na oli katol gana.
Oh God.
Tripla mawante mi gat gana.
Tu bra ting tu bra.
Isula mani suti looking pes longan tu.
Milukim.
You sabe longan.
Mi sirukim pesrongin da sol mino sayo nem rongin.
You looking membi potul hapea. Olo aste lo night asol.
Ronait asol.
Alphonse was one of 3 suspects from the Hahon area who were brought by the village chiefs for questioning by the military police in Buka.
All chief di bringin you pla. Lalu kam bringin bra lo usat.
Wow. MP.
Ola me. Na oli tok bayi plastar hamas time.
Be waiting boss asol.
Waiting.
Boss.
Boss. Ini orsen bayi pelamasolo pot.
No at.
No ata.
Requested ni mi rabinis.
Alphonse, after being given first aid, returned back to the military prison and, according to official sources, was released. His 2 companions, however, still remain missing. With the atmosphere of unity and peace, the Buka show went on.
Why are you leaving Bougainville?
Because it's too dangerous.
These pictures were taken in 1988. Huge electricity towers were blasted off their foundations in a spate of bitter action by the Panguna Landowners Association against the government. They were in direct retaliation to inaction by the government to their demands for better protection of the environment, huge back payments of profits from Panguna mine, and a massive 10 billion kina compensation. Seen as deliberate acts of sabotaging mine operations and the economy, the government of then Prime Minister Rabi Namaliu sent in security forces to guard mine installations. Joseph Kabui was the premier of North Solomon's provincial government at the time. He and several other local politicians were beaten up by police, and the police and workers from other parts of Papua New Guinea came under attack from the BRA. Joseph Kabui soon realized he was caught between 2 forces, the lawful authority of the government and the increasing resentment and jungle authority of the BRA.
I think it's good for men to look at any problem or any issue or any crisis affecting him, to look at it with a positive outlook. And it's true that so many attempts have been made. So many attempts governments have put into it, village leaders, church leaders have put into the whole crisis, and there can be a temptation or tendency to say that that's it. There's no more answer to the problem. So I believe that we still can make some sort of a breakthrough.
From the start of the conflict, the man who rose to the top command of the Panguna landowner struggle, Francis Ona, never reappeared again in public after he quit the employ of the Bougainville Copper Limited, first as an engineer, then as operator of the 70-ton dump truck. The other man who became a leading figure in the struggle by the Panguna landowners was Sam Kawana. With distinguished Australian military training to his credit and his growing sympathy for his people, he quit the PNG Defence Force and disappeared into the hills. He assembled an illegal military outfit and called it the Bougainville Revolutionary Army, the BRA. He masterminded the felling of the power pylons. He single-handedly took on the might of the security forces with a keen following and support of the young people. For obvious reasons such as inferior weapons and the lack of logistical support, Kawana ruled out open warfare. He let the troops face him and his army in their own backyard, in the jungles. When communication between Waigani and Panguna failed between Prime Minister Namaliu and Sam Kawana, the government imposed a total blockade around Bougainville. Before that happened, a team of United Nations observers from Canada, Vanuatu and New Zealand were allowed into Bougainville to observe the ceasefire and find out if peace talks could resume with the help of a third neutral party. In January 1991, the member for East Sea Peak, Sir Michael Somare, led a delegation from Port Moresby to the waters of Kieta aboard the New Zealand ship HMNZ Endeavour. Joseph Kabui led the team from the BRA and the Bougainville interim government. Pius Wingti was installed as Prime Minister after the elections in 1992 on a party platform of solving the Bougainville problem. He appointed Michael Ogyo as Minister responsible to deal with the Bougainville conflict. Their solution was simply to send back troops onto Bougainville and restore government control, as well demanded the unconditional surrender of the BRA. Sir Julius went to the Honiara peace talks 3 days after he was voted as new Prime Minister. The BRA commander Sam Kawana and his wife Josie made it to Honiara, dodging security forces through swamps and unfriendly territories.
Kamlo here, the Solomon Islands, no meeting say, Mino Kamlo here is a sign of surrender.
I'm here for nothing more than to seek peace, a peace settlement that will be not for just this time, but for a long time.
Under Sir Julius Chan as Prime Minister, Papua New Guinea took the biggest step, the engagement of a Pacific peacekeeping force in Narawa. But the intended members of the BRA did not come to the party. The BRA, the military arm, and the Bougainville interim government, its political umbrella, have been difficult, sticking to their extreme agendas. All is not lost, though. The Prime Minister once said of the conflict, Bougainville should be approached with a new spirit that will lead to a new deal for Bougainville that will create a new Bougainville.
I want to define all of those terms and Bougainville Transitional Government as a definition for all of them.
It is with that concern and the fact that the conflict has gone for 70 years that the Premier spearheaded new peace moves. Mr. Miriong, a lawyer come politician, is a man of his own, a deep thinker who is not easily persuaded. As a key figure in the Bougainville transitional government, the Premier feels he's up against a rock and a hard place in trying to find a solution. The BRA and BIG want total autonomy on the one side, a proposal unacceptable by the PNG government on the other.
We want, first of all, to solve this crisis in an effective way, in a beneficially lasting way. And in order to do that, we want to have a structure that is already being planned in Bougainville, and to put through that structure, political structure, administrative structure, which will basically touch at the village where the man, woman, and a child is.
Life is easy at the two villages at Poraran Island. People live from what they catch on the reefs. Smoke it, sell it in the market at Kesa, and take home cacao and other vegetables. People live here happily. They have their school here, 8 posts when they are sick, and their church. We caught up with them when they were preparing themselves for their appearance on MTV's Christmas special, I'm Nobody's Child. But even on this peaceful spot of the North Solomon, someone will still mourn for somebody. Only 20 miles in the opposite direction, towards the southwest of Buka, is Saposa Island. Including the islands around Saposa, there is originally a population just below 1,000. People here always depend on what they catch from the sea, and their gardens and markets on the flats northwest of the mainland of Bougainville. Originally, they had only one church there, the United Church. But on Saturday morning, the 6th of January, we met a Catholic community celebrating the Feast of the Three Kings in the United Church building.
Now I come. Now King 2, by looking, this flag from the light for you.
The Saposa Islanders welcomed the refugees from the Sorokin, Hahon, and even Nagavitz care centers, who had to move out from their places in the middle of last year, after BRA soldiers had burned the district office at Sorokin. So now Saposa's population has tripled.
se mi plalusi mas penes na paini matlong wara kai na ose mi pla online long mainland mi pla sabe go na about long garden na enjoy mi pla yet long all kind something ose go was long wara paini peace you let go where you can go long ya mi pla ose mol karambus mi pla no na go na kirap long ya na go away.
At the Saposa Care Center, Maria tells of her and her family's struggle to survive after leaving her previous home in Maratona when the hospital she worked for was burnt down by the BRA soldiers early one morning.
Mi play binting osem hablong mi play hablong mi emi along hahon emi stop easy na mi bin like come stop long ya. One time all people blong mi na walk one time all. Na tu ori bin paya mau sick na ino katap osem mi can walk through mi na stop na ri mall people blong tasol mi les na mi no mas long ori all busmani kam na bakarapi mau sick na paya ma try plau sick.
Maria, her husband James and their children fled to the Saposa Care Center for safety. Here they tried to live a normal village life, but it is never easy. There are roughly about 5 families living under the one canvas for shelter. Not enough food to go around for everyone at times, and not enough clothing for men, women, and children.
Yes, long care center mi papa ning hatri kiko side brong kai. Yeah.
Happens that you go along mainland.
Yeah. Yes, mi pla bingo down kissing kai or security post or talking mi pa yes mi pa can go down because or no bin up long haribi mi pla one thing kai because no bin got kai long or same long and yes I think or sexing kai long up na bin got now risari mi pa go down goxing kai na mi pa goxing plenty kai bro mi pa bagarap natin. Yeah, mi pla sotrong kai long ya taso kai long garden mo yet. All kind you mi liking and mi bagarap natiro have sampai sting or pineapple or fruit na about them kompakara.
Judy, Maria's daughter, was forced to leave school, but she had something to say about the matter also.
Long at me been liking school, and past school go, now BRA come, or the house mi pla, pagorong bus mi pas tap long up, na mi sabi talking with papa mama long. Iba mas puti mi playet long school, maski time no good. Na mi stop long school, na mi like him straight school.
Nobody like him school.
Me like him school because me like looking more narapela hap, go lining more narapela something.
Like finishing school, but you like come up with
Then me finishing school, me like come up nest.
no one in
Because me like a living more man.
one tells mama.
Yes.
Silakan sikya bin pek wara pek bulut no long mi pla kam kai mor kai no gut pla ol wara mi pla diringi mi pla no sa diring disakan wara long mi pla kam na ol siki bin planti siki bin kam aplon mi pla na tu emi hat long mi pla laga emi sabe osem sapos mi pla like simpayabot mi pla sa golong long westeret long hap na ok simpayabot long no long place you can kisim ta solong hap na walk about one time mi pool na mi walk kisim long hap na karing mi rambe na long side long kai tu mi play kam all planti man meri ole bok long hangere all mangi all sa hangere na kara na about so mi plan no sa mi play kisim kai wana give more.
There have been care centers established in the areas of South Bougainville, Central Bougainville, the Northeast, and the northwest of Bougainville, and in the Buka district. There is an approximate total of 35,000 people living in the care centers around Bougainville, and up to date, this amount has not yet changed. With the curfew imposed on them, their lives become almost impossible. This is the most beautiful spot of Buka Island, the Gogohe Cliffs, Gogohe Beach. Unlike the nearby villages, the Gogohe Church and the school escaped the destruction.
During the crisis, we were blessed with this. We had some people here that had the place organized. We had what we call the resistance.
But people will bear their own scars from the times of the BRA Dominion and the landing of the Papua New Guinea Defence Force. Just a few minutes' walk from the Gogohe Church is the grave of Paulus Harepa. His widow will never forget these days.
You worry too long. Now I'm hearing to you by asking me. Me say karai. Now I'm me say no like story long. Suppose me story long and ba me karai da sorry.
Paulus Harepa used to be in the army, but left to be with his family. He was accused by an unknown source that he was responsible for hiding army equipment. It was in the early months of 1993 that the BRA soldiers raided villages until they finally found him. Paulus, his family, and several other villagers were taken and imprisoned by the BRA soldiers. The conditions were appalling, and oftentimes they were not able to get food. In time, the prisoners were released, except Paulus, who was held for further questioning.
That's all I've been talking me talk. Sing out to me I talk. Suppose only no straight him all this fella talk below me long here. By me go along. Only kissing me go along Panguna now. Me talk, now you go make him an angel long Panguna. Only like straight him all talk yeah. Only talk me hide him all something belong all army only giving me. Me to pale karai now. Biana long Saturday, me pay no sabe now, only kissing me go now, long Panguna. Na glory kam na long avenue na salim talk ta so long all money bin sanap long road. No only talk. Go talking Mrs. Harepa, man belonging only kissing me go finish long Panguna. Me walk long karai no, I go. Let me go stop long up, me worry. You walk long karai. Not time only talk long and it I finish. Me walk him, now me walk him. You know, finish worry about me. Stop it.
Paulus was taken to CY by the BRA soldiers and was continuously questioned. He was finally found to be innocent. Paulus was able to return home to his family in Gogohe with the help of some friendly villagers who had given enough money to keep him going until he reached home. Unfortunately, he was ambushed along the way, killed and buried in the bushes. Paulus's body was dug up by residents of the CY village and later sent to his wife for a proper burial.
People on CY or even how much to it because
a man in Warong on finishing Karabus Brongam. And big stuff one member family, and count mem, good. Now the Aksara Mikolam Perez, okay, now it's Rodana or the Kirim mem. Okay, now the Pindikin is a poly, long Paulus. Don't show him people, all of people from Siwa are not being responsible long diagonal man. Because
now 1992 oli Salem disla bun blong brata blong mikam long peles. All big man yet blong CY, all good pla line, all Christian line, all even come one time bun blong brata blong me. Come bring him good long place blong me pla. That's all.
They were coming back happy with some biscuits from the security forces who had just landed near Gogahe when they were encountered by some BRA men who said to them, "It is France's owner's command that you do not eat soldiers' biscuits." And he forced them to eat stones. As we travel along the northeast highway of Buka Island, we hear more stories about burned villages, prisoners being kept in the toilet pits, and at bay, 16 young men being tied up and burned alive. And on the road near Buka Airport, a whole family, including children, was shot dead on their return from the garden. In November 1990, women started mobilizing and traveled from village to village around Bougainville. Food and clothing were given to the people by the small group of women who made a big effort to reach each care center. They were very outspoken during the Arawa Peace Conference.
Freedom belong all, mama, na all geta, man Mary belong Bougainville, he must come back. Plenty all pikinini, all no kisim good plus school, all no kisim marasin. Plenty all young play idai finish. Na this pla, emi giving big pla heavy, long yumi all Bougainvillians, long 6 pla, long pla here, M.E. long pla Tumas. Meeting long today, he must find him through Sampla Road, long find him peace, na bel isi.
You me all want to kill like stop yet, na fight, you go more yet all same. Question me pla all Mary like asking me pla all man. All picking in blow me pla yet all mama. Me pla all Mary love whole of Bougainville. Me pla no like through by this la crisis he must go on. Me play look him this peace conference and me chance through blow you me now. Long can put him head one time. Agree that peace he must start. And me depend lo you me all get a 1-1 tasol. All Mary pil him enough and me nap now lo this black crisis. Party must no can go on. Olgeta mamaya you looking missing down lo side, na long side. Olgeta one he got experience belong em yet, lo display crisis. He got karai belong em yet. Na mi kam stand ya mi try maki molgeta Maryland Solomons. Usati pilim no go through lo display crisis. Mi play all mama long not Solomons. Mi play like him good placing down. Bell good. You may call him peace. Na bell easy. You must stop na melo you may all geta. Bell easy lo ting. Bell easy lo heart blow you. Na bell easy lo body blow you in general. Osem now na today lo this press conference you me starting all talk blow you me pla all marry me pla no come lo negotiate a solo peace me pla demanding that you me must get peace.
You may even stop long time no good. Life now is hard to mind. Oh papa, oh mama, oh beginning. We'll stop for right from all get a day. Oh my island Bougainville, me cry for you. And when the sun shines over you, you're always in my mind.
Even women from the BRA-controlled areas spoke in support. We caught up with Mrs. Josie Kauna and Scully Miriori in Honiara during the signing of the Honiara Peace Agreement.
Movement all very long control areas where all army staff long and all taking. Me plateau on very way all BRA controlling and me play supporting long also me because all equal right where all you can express only free. That's all also me play staff low bush. Me play no cat way by me play can express him this play. Right where me play like in peace long island lo you me. So me play support him or only making take him this play more long up where me play staff long I think me play support him.
Now talking about sufferings, pain, when someone is being killed, chopped into pieces. There's so much pain, Long Island. Too much. Suffering, too much. We women cannot stand that anymore. That's too much. Now this me play like in peace, me must come up. Time somebody is killed, what do you expect? Well, we do one time or bikini blongen. Too much too for a woman to look after a child. Even climbing 100 mountains, lo move further inland, lo move further into the jungle, lo move further into the caves. It is a very difficult task for a woman, especially if a man blongen has been killed. It's a difficult situation.
But many women will be silent, will be afraid to talk. Silently, they will be carrying the burden of living in the time of the crisis, without their husbands who were either killed or who ran away into hiding, or for being a pretty single girl having no power to say no to someone who holds a gun and wants to make love to her. The research conducted in account to help them shows clearly who is responsible.
There are people crying, who is responsible? There's no education, there's no hospital. Who is responsible? There are people dying, there are people crying, not knowing why. Bougainville Island is an island.
Ori harim, if go out and narapala. Or talk out, so you know go inside.
This is Nova Village, located a few kilometers from Buka town. It is Friday morning, January the 5th, 1996. People gathered for their special mass celebrated by Father Michael. on the graduation day for the Conflict Resolution Seminar.
Oh man, this fly, I mean, hard through. Now, sometimes me find him some only don't prayer too, or one-sided. Now, or one-sided, or not both side, and or prayer on one side as well. Now, sometimes we've been talking about, hey, God and liking to all of them and Mary.
The Conflict Resolution Seminar are conducted by specially trained people who are sponsored by the Foundation for Law, Order and Justice.
One plan way to solve meeting law achieving peace in Bougainville. I think I'm law work long conflict resolution because people let be understanding more. People let be look sa heavy long all. Nambali sabi long solving it long place. I think one plan way long solving peace long Bougainville and through long. Mi plan mas running plan the course long conflict resolution law palace.
Henry conducted many seminars around Bougainville Island and even in the Simbu province.
Roslyn Ragu.
Because me ok long round ko long nar plahap nagin sila course. Na me looking back long place me I got all of problems stop we all man tinap solve him. So all no kat rot no solve him. All no kat sabe no solve this plan. I believe this plan conflict resolution. We've been having all the participants, but we got sabe na all straight in this la all heavy long place na come up in one bellet long place we plan here.
Although the conflict resolution or healing memories seminars are very popular, they are only a small step towards peace and reconciliation. What is needed more so is to disarm the whole island of Bougainville, both BRA and the resistant fighters. But until this is done, more blood will be shed and more mothers and children will mourn. Although many attempts were made to negotiate peace, the fights have continued, even after there was a compromise. The question now, as it has been previously, is will there ever be peace and unity for the people of Bougainville? And this is what the women have come together to find out and in time to achieve.